800-point rally on Friday. What are you, nuts? What a bunch of BS. How did that happen? Everybody went nuts, all excited, because Fed, its target rate, inflation I'm talking about, its target is 2%. Well, they keep talking 2%, 2%. And because the PCE came in and showing that inflation dropped 0.5%, everybody's getting excited. We're getting closer to our target of 2%. So the consensus was on Friday, hey, this is great. We don't have to wait till September to start cutting rates. We're going to start cutting rates this month. In fact, we're going to start cutting rates at this Fed meeting in a couple of weeks. In fact, we're going to start cutting rates a quarter point every Fed meeting from July 2024 to January 2025. People went nuts. But there's a problem. If you start cutting inflation too soon, that is going to turn around and make inflation worse. There's going to be a resurgence of inflation. Because you see, inflation is still high. You got to be looking at the necessities. Inflation and necessities are still too high. Our gasoline, our food, groceries, 30% rent, 20%, 40% for gas. That's not coming down. Now, if you go in and say, well, we're so close to our inflation target now, we're going to start cutting, that's going to destroy the economy. Because think about it. On Thursday, we also got some more information. What was that? The 5 biggest banks came out and said, we got a problem. Our customers owe us an aggregate $4 billion. They simply can't pay it. They don't have the money. They've gone through their savings. They've gone through their 401k. Their credit cards are tapped. They can't pay it. Think about this. See, the big mistake was this. We waited too long to fight inflation. Coming down 0.5%? Are you kidding me? That's something great. And by the way, the 2% target is all bullshit. Why? Well, think of how we got to the 2%. It was in 1989. The finance minister in New Zealand hated his central banker. He wanted to get rid of him. Couldn't figure out how to do it. So one night, he and his pals were at a pub, all got drunk up, and came up with a brilliant idea. Why don't we set a Fed rate that he can't hit, and we can fire him? So they set a Fed rate of target of 2%. He couldn't hit it, and they fired him. Little did they know, some idiot in Canada adopts, thinking the 2% was real, adopts the same 2%. After that, another 10 countries, thinking it was real, they accepted the 2% target. And Bernanke, that idiot, in 2012, he thought it was real, and his target now was 2%. This is unbelievable. It was a joke. It was just to fire somebody. It's meaningless. Now, the real problem is this, is that if you take, right now, necessities, you take gasoline, you take food, you take rent, you take health care, prices keep going up, not down. We have a major problem. The banks on Thursday, 5 of them, the 5 largest banks came out and said, you know what? We got a problem. We have $4 billion in debt our consumers simply can't pay. They have no money. They have no money. They went through their 401ks. They withdrew that money. They withdrew their savings. Their credit cards are tapped. There's $4 billion. We can't get paid. Now think about this. If they start dropping rates because they didn't fight the inflation, remember, we never fought the inflation. Volcker raised rates to fight inflation in 24 months. He brought the back inflation in 24 months from 11% to 20%. We're at 100. It took us 180 months to go from just under 1%, 0.88, to 5.3%. 180 months. Volcker went it took him just 24 months to go from 11% to 20%. So see, we never fought inflation to begin with. Isn't that crazy? So if we turn around now and go ahead and say, everything's fine, let's start cutting rates, what's going to happen is there's going to be a resurgence, and I've seen this before, of this inflation. We're going to be in bad shape. So this is why with my members, and I've been doing this for 50 years, I've been teaching for 25 years, why we just follow the money and not the bullshit. Here's why. Take a look. If you take a look at this chart right here, this is stock. We're up PNC. This is a nice little bank we bought. And PNC, okay, we're up 17% when our chart gave us a buy buy signal, went from red to green. We also have, of course, a nice move in Micron Technology. It gave us a sell signal. This is the color-coded chart, went from green to red. And in Micron Technology, we now have a 22% profit. And even NVIDIA, we have a nice profit on NVIDIA right here. It's red. We're going to stay short as long as it's red. And as long as it stays underneath its 50-day moving average. This is what you follow. Always follow the money. Follow the trend, not the BS. To do that, just click the link below. That's all. Or go to philsgang.com. It's free for 10 days.